Hello there, everybody. So today we're going to be looking at Ragnar's FireSage build, and I gotta say I really love this for PvP. It can do a little bit of everything, and it can do everything really well. It has a lot of res potential for your own team. It has fantastic cleave potential that shuts down any kind of opponent reses. It has great group healing. It has great damage. It has great CC. It has access to blind and weakness. It has access to Aegis. It's got everything, man. This is something that's definitely worth checking out if you're interested in playing any Guardian in PvP. All credit again goes to Ragnar. This is not my build. I've tweaked it a little bit from what he uses. He doesn't use a Sigil of Agility on the axe. I really like it because it lets you land your burst a little bit more reliably. You could also switch this out for an Energy Sigil. And I'm trying to think, what else do I run that he doesn't? I think that's it. I think that's the only thing I run that he doesn't run. All right, so looking at your skills here, you're going to be running Axe Focus with the Agility and Smoldering Sigil, along with Sword Shield with an Energy and Smoldering Sigil. You can switch out the Sword for Mace, but I think Sword gives you a lot more offensive potential, and you don't lose much defensively with it. So if you're looking at Sword, you have Blindness here on your number 2 skill on a 10-second cooldown, which is comparable to your Mace giving you a block on a 15-second cooldown. Uh, Between the two of them, I kind of like the Sword better. Keeps you more mobile, and the symbol is more reliable with it, which is pretty big for this build. For your runes, going to be Rune of the Traveler, which keeps you fairly mobile. A little bit of extra condition and boon duration is always nice. And a Sage's Amulet, which gives you power, vitality, healing power, and condition damage. Along with your Mercy Sigil, this brings you up to, or Signet? Yeah, Signet. This brings you up to 776. With Quickness, you're a little bit over 900 healing power, which is pretty solid with the amount of skills that this has on it that gives you passive sustain, or sustain that you don't really have to think about to get the benefit of. Burning duration's up at 37%, which is fantastic. Your biggest source of it's going to be Permeating Wrath. You really don't want things that are going to last for like 10 seconds anyway in PvP. Most people are going to cleanse by the time that 5 seconds is up. So you don't have to go balls to the wall as far as burning duration goes. Let's look at our other stats here. Armor's fairly low, but you get around that by using your multitude of blinds and blocks. Your health is still fairly high, so this will stop you from being one-shot by like a backstab thief or something. It has good power damage. It has good condi damage. The crit rate's pretty low, but you have access to Fury on both your Sword 2 and your Axe 2. So this keeps up Fury pretty reliably for giving you a 25% chance to crit. Okay, let's take a look at some of these traits. You'll be running Honor 322, Virtues 231, and Firebrand 113. And the reasonings behind these traits are your Protector's Impact gives you a 3-second symbol whenever you use your heal skill on a 20-second cooldown. Ignore the 8-second, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what that applies to. I've never seen that 8-second internal cooldown come up. It's always 20 seconds. So this gives you a little bit of extra access to protection, and it comes to you when you need it. So it's going to be an instantaneous protection on you. This can also be used offensively. If you're already bursting somebody fairly hard, you can drop an extra symbol on top of them to increase the burst. It's a pretty solid trait. The other option you might want to think about is Protective Reviver. This gives you Aegis protection and regen, you and the person you revive, Aegis protection and regen, and it keeps people off of the people that you're trying to res. So this can be really nice as far as a defensive tool goes. It also applies the boons when you res somebody with the Signet of Mercy. So great way to turn a fight, great way to really turn a fight around. But I kind of like this better. This is more reliable. It's something you're going to use all the time. This kind of relies on there being a down or being somebody who gets down to be effective. So this is really good with low-level play. This is much better with higher-level play. I wouldn't run Invigorated Bulwark at all. Similarly, Empowering Might. Be nice to have the extra might, but it's not as good as having an extra 1k healing on all of your Aegis applications. You don't need the concentration and you're not running staff. Over here, you're not running shouts, so useless. Increased healing output and vitality, kind of nice, but not really what this build is good at. Rid of Persistence, however, is fantastic. Increases your symbols by 2 seconds, increases their radius, especially important with Axe because your Axe symbol now dazes on its initial hit, so it's easier to land that way. And stacking up 3 of these symbols on top of each other, there's no internal cooldown on this, so with 3 symbols on top of each other, you're healing for 500 health a second, just standing there passively doing nothing else. You'll notice when you're playing this that it has a ridiculous amount of passive sustain. Because even if you only have 1 symbol up, right, you've got 165 there, you have another 131 here, so you're already up to 300, and then your regeneration is going to give you, what is that, like another 200 healing or so, maybe 250. Total like 500 health a second just by playing, just by interacting naturally. That's not including things like your dodge roll and your Aegis applications for burst heals. So a lot of potential here. All right, let's take a look at our virtue straight line. Our retaliatory subconscious stops you from being chain stunned. So let's say that somebody is really wailing on you, like a warrior is going after you and just spamming you with dazes and CCs. They'll hit you with the first one. It procs Aegis on you, which blocks the second one from hitting. It's really the only trait to take in this line. Unscathed Contender is not reliable, and this doesn't have enough power damage to make it reliable in the first place. You're not running any consecrations, so totally useless. Glacial Heart is great. This causes any kind of CC that you do, and you don't have to interrupt them. You just have to land the CC on them to chill them and cause damage. That damage works towards proccing Permeating Wrath, and the chill, the CC, keeps them next to you so you can keep wailing on them. Because this build is primarily a melee build, almost everything you have is going to be very close range. So keeping somebody CC'd with chill allows you to sit right on top of them. It also helps to keep them inside of your symbols. Really, really great trait. You could run Absolute Resolution, which increases your passive healing. I wouldn't run this though, because when you're going to use your F2 tome, your number 2 skill turns those conditions into healing, and your 5 turns them into boons, which is better than just removing them flat out. This can be really nice to learn with, but the real money here is with Glacial Heart. Virtuous Solace, completely useless. Still, it has always been completely useless. Don't run this trait. Permeating Wrath is fantastic. This lets you shut down any kind of res potential that the enemy has. Unless they're using a Signet of Mercy to get somebody up, if they're trying to hard res or hand res, this doubles the damage that you're dealing to each of the targets that are trying to res. So if they have one person on the ground and you're cleaving them, you're going to fire your Permeating Wrath every 3 hits or 3 ticks of a symbol. If there's somebody trying to res, now instead you're going to fire this like every single symbol tick. The damage gets ridiculous very quickly on targets that aren't moving or are trying to res. So this can shut down the enemy team's res potential right off the bat, which is the primary reason for using it. Down here in Firebrand, we have the Axe trait that causes your Axe skill 2 to daze on its initial hit. It has a radius of 240, and it's got a fairly long range too, you can see. So this whole area is now a daze area on that first hit. And you can use your Axe 3 to pull them in first. So Axe 3 into Axe 2. Now they're stuck inside of a symbol, they're dazed, and if you're using your mantra correctly, they're immobilized. Allows you to shit a lot of damage out very quickly, and provides a little bit of extra cover conditions for them. Weighty Terms is an immobilize and cooldown reduce. So each of these now take 10 seconds to charge recover, or each charge takes 10 seconds to recover. So better access to stability, cleansing, all of the bullshit that is on this wonderful trait, and Aegis and healing. That little bit of extra immobilize on the end is particularly devastating with your Mantra of Truth. The final charge for this immobilizes for 4 seconds. So, and it provides a ton of cover conditions on top of that. So you can pull somebody in or open up with your Sword 2 and then move into your Act combo. And if you land that immobilize on top of them, it's pretty much GG. Taking a look at our weapon skills here. Your Sword 2 is a blind. Your Shield 4 is an Aegis. This is going to be a knockback and heal. Also projectile destruction. This is also projectile destruction. So you can see you have a lot of defensive options on this weapon set. Between the blind, the Aegis, and the 2 projectile blocks, you can really use this to bully opponents. You don't have to worry about them attacking you back. You don't have to really worry about much. You can just charge in balls to the wall. The Axe set's more going to be focused on damage. Here you have CC, ticking damage, and potentially more damage, but you want to use this defensively. What I usually do is my attack combo is. Let's see if I can find an empty golem. Alright, so sword 2, shield 5. You're going to blow some charges while you're at it. Pull them in, lock them down, CC, and then you want to make sure you use your shield 5 in one of your own symbols. That cleanses 2 conditions from you. It can save you from having to use this. It can save you from having to use most of your stuff. Lots of damage coming out there. I think total that was, what, like 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and kill the champion golem. And the whole time you're essentially immune to damage because you have blinds coming from here, blinds coming from here, you have Aegis going out, you have blocks from here, daze, CC. All of that helps to keep the opponent locked down. All right, so that's kind of your main offensive rotation. For your defensive rotation, you want to always start out playing aggressively, always start out playing offensively. This is a build that plays better when you play it offensively. You don't want to try and use this as a defensive, like, node bunker. It's not how it works. So defensively, you've got Shield of Judgment, you have your blinds, you have your projectile blocks. On this side, you have a block here. Usually what you want to do is save your F3 for when you yourself are being pressured. You don't want to blow this early into a fight. You want to save this for when the enemy team decides that it's time to gank the Firebrand. And the way you use it is you pop in. Immediately, as soon as you get in, drop your number 4 skill. This stops you from being CC'd with Fear, with Immobilize, with any of the soft CCs like Cripple and Chill, Vulnerability. Stops poison from affecting you. That way your heals are more effective. This is really, really solid. So I almost always open with 4. And then if I'm next to an opponent, I'll use 2. The taunt will trigger Glacial Heart, which CCs them and keeps them close to you, which can help to keep them inside your symbols if you have them up before using this. And the Aegis is a free heal for you. And it's fast, like quarter-second cast time. So after that, I usually move to either Unbroken Lines or number 3, depending on if there's an opponent using projectiles near me. Like, I wouldn't use number 3 against a Scourge, but I would definitely use it against a Hollowsmith. 5 is just fantastic. 5 seconds for extra everything. This makes you a tank god for a couple of seconds. So usually the rotation is 4, 2, 5, and then either 3 or 1. 3 if there's a projectile to hit, 1 if there isn't, and then 2 again for the extra Aegis and potentially another CC. And what's nice is as soon as you pop out, usually you're going to be in Axe after using your F3, so you can always hit 2. And let's say that you just taunted somebody with your F3 number 2. Now you're going to lock them into a symbol, which is going to CC them, causing them to get chilled again after they already got chilled from being taunted. Then you can pop over to sword, or vice versa. If you're already in sword when you use your F3, still gonna hit them, still gonna keep them CC'd and locked in your symbols. This build has a lot of control going for it. And let's see, other than that, if you need condition cleansing, you can burn the charges of this. Usually you want to keep these flowing throughout the fight. This is a great source of regeneration for you. I think total, this will keep up regeneration 100% of the time on you by itself. So extra strong to use. You want to make sure you're always using it. Save the last charge, especially useful against mirages and scourges. If they come after you and they Condi Bomb on you, that last charge will turn 5 of those conditions into boons. If you're lucky, it might even give you some resistance. So definitely worth saving on that last charge. Other than that, your condition removal is going to be in your F2. So usually I pop over to F2. And then if I only have 2 or 3 conditions, I'll use this. If I'm loaded with conditions, I'll first use some stability, and then afterwards use your number 5 skill to turn them all into boons. Once that's over, then I go 4, and then either 1 or 2, depending on if this is on cooldown and if I have conditions still on me. The number 3 skill isn't worth using. Don't waste your charges. In your F1 tome, your offensive rotation with this is going to be always to pull first, and then try and CC him or immobilize with one of your mantras, then drop Scorched Aftermath, then Igniting Burst, and then just spam your 1 skill until you're out. If you're in a big group fight and you have, I think, 2 or 3 enemy or allies that are near you, then I would use your 5 skill, but in a 1-on-1 or a 1v2 or a 2v2, I probably wouldn't use this. Alright, so let's take a look. Why would you run this in PvP? What's the benefit of running a FireSage in PvP? What's this doing for your team? Well, the offensive pressure is definitely one thing. It says a lot of damage coming out. You'll see in some of the clips how much is coming out. It hits as hard as most of the Zerker classes do. You won't one-shot people with it, but the more players that are around you, the better this build is, the more damage you're going to output. So you want to try and stick to team fights. You can duel with it. It's a fairly good dueling build, but you're going to get the most benefit out of your team fights. That's kind of where you want to stick. You have some great res potential with Signet of Mercy. Always cover this with either a block or stability, preferably with stability. This allows you to get somebody back up very quickly, and the passive for it increases your personal sustain. So great at resing your own teammates. It is great at stopping the opponents from resing with Permeating Wrath. Just those two things alone make this worthwhile in my opinion. That it also shits out a bunch of passive healing to the people around you with Writ of Persistence, Pure of Heart, and your dodge roll is gravy. And that it does a bunch of damage on top of that so that you can secure your own downs. Allows you to play this in solo queue really effectively. You can carry teams that are bad. It's got a little bit of everything. You have great engage potential. You have good projectile defense. You have great CC for setting up kills, access to immobilize, access to weakness, access to blind, aegis. Defensively, it's a beast. Offensively, it's a beast. Team play potential is really, really high again with your Signet of Mercy and with your Permeating Wrath. I'd strongly suggest giving it a shot. But now we'll take a look at some clips and you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's start off with a clip here of a fresh game. You can see that my team is spreading out. We have 2 going far, 1 going home. Fucking awful split. They send 4 to mid. So we're chilling up top first, just kind of looking around. I really want to engage on this Court Ranger because I know that that's going to be an easy kill for my team. This is unranked. PvP season has ended, so let me show you what we're dealing with here. So again, we open up with the Sword 2. Let's see if we can rewind that real quick. Open with Sword 2, Shield 5, and 1 charge of the Mantra of Truth. Between those 3, it starts out that CC chain and starts getting their cover conditions ready to go. And especially since I've got a Scourge with me, you can see the conditions start to pile up very quickly. So I just landed the Immobilize there. He's sitting inside of my symbol. He already been pulled. I've already applied a bunch of burning to him, and then all of these cover conditions, making it really difficult for him to get out of it. So chilled, immobilized, stuck inside of the symbols. The extra AoE damage on these people is great too. I'm trying to go for a kill here immediately. If you look at this build, it's not made for support, and you're not going to support a Scourge against 4 people in any event, regardless of what build you're running. So this is kind of where this build shines compared to a support Firebrand. Usually with a support Firebrand, you don't have a whole lot of offensive potential to make plays with. With this, you have all of the offensive potential to make plays with. So if you can secure it down quickly, it doesn't really matter if this person's alive. You can rally using your Signet, or you can rally them by killing the target that you're after. So let's see how it plays out. So I start taking a bunch of damage here. I switch into my Tome 3. As soon as I get into Tome 3, I use my 2 because I want to get that CC off on him as quickly as possible and get that down. I know that the Scourge can't last too much longer. It's kind of a shit fight to take in the first place, but my teammates didn't leave me a whole lot of other options. So now that I've got my first down, Scourge is trying to run back to me in order to get some healing, and I know that I have a down here, so I stacked as many symbols as possible on top of them. 9 stacks of burning, along with some cover conditions, is going to make it very difficult for them to get back up again. I think that'll secure the rally as is. What I wasn't expecting is the other 3 people who were here coming after me. All of them went down along with it. So now you get your rally off, and then switch into Tome 1 to start CCing and finish them all off. So even a 2v4, this doesn't have a whole lot of potential defensively, but if you look at the damage up here, 165k in the first, minute and a half of the game, a lot of offensive potential. Really shut that team fight down quickly. All right, for the second clip, we're going to look at a couple of people jumping me in the free-for-all arena. What's important is to know that where the no port spots are on every map. It's worth going around in a custom arena just to check it out and just to get a feel for it. These no port spots can really save your life. So, let's see here, we have a Mirage and a Dragon Hunter that are coming after me. So a lot of physical damage and a lot of condition damage. The usual combo again, let's rewind that for a second here. Sword 2, Shield 5, Mantra, Switch, and then Axe 3, Axe 2. If you notice here, he popped something that gave him stability. I want to say Stand Your Ground, but that doesn't seem right. However it is that he ended up with that stability, you're going to start stripping off some of it, and then he's likely not going to have more stability that he can throw out. So you want to get that CC chain rolling. Now I've got him locked inside of 3 symbols here. A bunch of conditions are moving. A lot of damage is incoming, and I'm still relatively untouched down here health-wise. And so far I've only burned a couple of charges in my Mantra. So more CC, more damage ticking. This is going to start to chunk his HP down really quickly. I've pretty much ignored the Mirage for this point so far. I think that initial CC really threw him off, but let's take a look. Okay, now I'm swapping into my Tome 1 to apply some offensive pressure, only because I didn't have Tome 3 available. If I had it available, I would have switched into that. With Tome 1, I want to start getting as much CC on the ground as possible, particularly as much ticking damage effects, because all of those are going to increase your pressure overall while you're trying to stay defensive. So now I'm going to burn most of my Mantra charges in order to get that damage off, in order to bully these two. So I know that they don't have a whole lot defensively left. Now let's rewind here. As soon as that tome goes down, I pop into Tome 2. I want to get that extra healing out as quickly as possible. So heal, heal, and then try and stay in it a little bit. Now do a little bit of kiting. Lock the first one down, change targets, and then finish the second one off. So all of that passive damage and passive healing that you're seeing is from the trait lines. It allows you to be a real bully with this build. You don't have to worry too much about what other people are doing. Okay, for this third clip here, I have a 4-1 split. The Thief went home, 4 of us went to mid. This is again unranked, so the opponents are kind of shitty, as well as my teammates are pretty shitty. What you want to do is try and find who's going to be the easiest target or who's going to do the most damage. I know that this Guardian here is Condi damage, and I know he's going to fuck up all of the newer people on my team, so I want to go after him first, but he runs off going for far, so I just ignore him. I think about going after the Tempest, but the Tempest has Shocking Aura, which can stop me from bullying him effectively. I know that the Druid no longer has great escape tools, so that's going to be the best target to go after. So usual combo to start, Sword 2, Shield 5, Mantra, and then start locking him down. You can see here where I get him with that Immobilize. Now he's stuck inside of 2 symbols. I was hoping for 3, but you don't always get lucky. 11 stacks of burning, great chill, great weakness, cripple, bleeding, vuln, the whole 9 yards, man. This really stacks up quickly. So he's done. He's got a friend who's coming to res. I try and lock down that res as quickly as possible. You can see here now he's running away. He realized how badly he fucked up, I don't know, a second after he tried to res. So as he tries to run away, I try and do a little bit more defensive here. Get all that stuff off, give myself an extra block in case the Mirage wants to CC me, which I don't know if he tried to do or if the other one tried to do. Now I want to go after the Mirage. So I've got him CC'd and locked down. Now I've got a symbol on top of him. He's as good as dead. This is now the next target here because I know he's going to go after the 2 teammates I have over there. I hope that they can get that down finished, and even if they can't, I want to get some CC on him, which will allow me to get a res off on the other player. Wasn't needed in this case, but now he's going to go try and attack there, and you can just launch in on him with your burst damage. The Guardian came back. I think he realized this is now a bad place to be, but he's already committed, so there we go with the Shocking Aura. Even got me twice with it. I didn't have my stability up. But start the CC train rolling. You can see how much offensive pressure this has and how quickly it forces people to use their cooldowns. And there you go again. CC, locked down, immobilized. Other guy's trying to run away. Not doing him any good. You still got all those conditions ticking on him. So there we go. Great carry potential. Even if you have really bad teammates, this allows you to bully the enemy team really well. I didn't even have to use the res signet on them. The enemy team was so squishy that they went down quickly. All right, so for this clip, we're going to be looking at the res potential and how easy it is to get off in a group fight, along with how much extra CC you bring to the table. So over here we have our, what is that? Mirage and a Reaper, so a lot of offensive pressure here. The only thing you really need to contribute to these two is going to be probably a res, maybe some healing, and a lot of CC. Because all the CC that you put out, if you're with high damage teammates, they can really punish the enemy players using it. So it has great synergy with the enemy, or with your team. I don't know what the number of enemies down here is. We got 2. I knew we had this guy coming on as a respawn. So as soon as I enter into here, I got off my focus 4 on him to start that damage ticking, and I got some CC off on the other guy to lock him down. I know that Soul Beast is probably going to be going for the kill here shortly. So what I want to do is give some stability to my team and then use my Mercy Signet here to make sure that he secures this down and to make sure that I secure this res. So between the two of them, let's see how quickly it turns the fight. Now he's rezzed. Now it's a 3v1, and this guy's at half health. So you can see me using Mace in this clip. The reason I don't like it again is because that symbol is so slow on Mace, but you can use this to bleed people out. You can just chill on point. Great healing, great survival potential. So immediately after that fight, I leave the point, come up this way. I know we got a bunch of respawns coming in. I'm not too worried about them. What I am worried about is them coming in and getting the res off on this gentleman. So let's take a look here. Get up top. I decided to do some support for my my teammates here as he's trying to run away. I think it was a Soul Beast that got him. But here's the potential for locking down a res, even against a Firebrand with the res traits. He ends up dying because of the extra damage coming in, along with the guy who he was trying to res, along with the second guy who came in to try and res as well. He jumped right on top of my stack and ended up getting blown the fuck up. So you can turn a fight very quickly. As soon as you get one down, focus all of your cleave on that down. If the enemy team goes for a res, you can end their push right then and there. Really gives you a lot of potential for